So we're using wearables as a jumping off point to think about the intersections of the body and technology and the intersections of art and science. I'm trained originally as a biologist. I did a PhD in synthetic biology at a small school down the river. And today I work a lot with artists and designers to think about the way that social, emotional, and aesthetic parts of science are part of culture. And as Lila said, I work at Ginkgo Bioworks down at the seaport. We're an organism design company, and I think about the ways that we imagine, design, and communicate new biological technologies.
I'm a science fiction artist. I'm trained in French classical ballet and interior design, and I use science fiction as a mechanism for prototyping the future. And I'm really interested in how we might evolve, and as Leila mentioned, exploring the body in extreme environments.
So I love working with artists like Lucy, because I think for me as a scientist, being able to collaborate with artists brings such a different perspective on things. I think that artists are really open, leave themselves really vulnerable, and are really willing to take risks, to jump into the unknown for the sake of curiosity without having an ultimate conclusion in mind. I'm really willing to take that path.
Yeah, I've been exploring the different mindsets of the artist versus the entrepreneur, and we talked about perhaps how science takes risks to discover, to find truth, and to problem solve. And the very definition of taking risk is to be open to danger and exchange familiarity and comfort for uncertainty. So yeah, we share this wish or future of technology that it's fleshy, it's visceral, it's messy, it's elastic, and it has feeling.
And so when Lila invited us to think about wearables on this panel, we started by just corresponding. I live here in Boston. Lucy lives in Melbourne, Australia, so we had a hard time finding a time to talk on the phone. So we were just sending each other emails with questions at the beginning. So I started with these really boring questions to Lucy. What are wearables? What are they for? And what will they enable?
And when Christina sent me those questions, I was really disappointed. I shut the laptop and sort of walked away and thought, okay, I'll deal with it later. And I think that's partly to do with the work that I'm doing now. I'm really interested in the body in extreme environments, and also I was part of the team at Philips Probes back in 2006. We prototyped this emotional sensing dress, and there I worked with engineers and fashion designers, and we were trying to explore emotional sensing and try to understand what was happening to the body when you kiss someone for the first time or when you brush past a stranger, and could we make technology that blushed or shivered. So those two words, when they're together, wearable and technology, really didn't resonate with me, and I really agree with what Hussein talked about. These sensual prototypes moving into the business world, and that's a massive challenge. So we were interested in these stereotypes and trying to break down, the gadgets, the cold, the clinical, and the lack of sensuality. So during the evenings whilst at Philips, I began experimenting with the textile designer Bart Hess, and we were working in very immediate, low-tech ways using washing up liquid and water with a cake blender and imagining how the body might change. We were having these very high-tech conversations at Philips, but we're interested in using the skin as an accessory, and could the body replicate nature? And that sense of vulnerability in the experiments was really clear. We were coming from a very primal and intuitive way with no idea of what the image would end up in the end.
So even before Lucy ended up dealing with these questions and answering them, I was also really bored thinking about it. And I'm pregnant now, and I'm always thinking a lot about the body and technology in different ways, because there are all these ways that technology used to monitor and surveil and watch out for the body that's pregnant. And there's also this meme about the uterus being an onboard 3D printer. And so I kind of like this idea. I was like, is the uterus a wearable technology? And so I shot over another email to Lucy saying, well, are you interested in this? And we'd like to bring it into the world and the kinds of questions that I think that Lucy asks, what would the midwife clinic look like in 10,000 years?
So naturally, I got really excited because I'd been thinking about writing a TV show about the future of procreation and the body beyond Earth's edge. What if you're born from a petri dish, and how might this change the phenomenon of touch? So our emails got a little wackier and crazier. We started talking about women who had given birth while they were in comas, artificial intelligence, the future of sex, beauty and attraction. And all of this had definitely feminist themes and overtones, and certainly our work is very feminist. And I love how Lucy's work is really about dousing technology in feminine themes and feminine aesthetics, and by changing the aesthetic, really challenging the stereotypes and the expectations of what it is that technology is and what technology can do. And so, in thinking about what is a feminist wearable? Maybe that's a place to start. So I Googled it, and it was really disappointing. So it's all like T-shirts that have feminist slogans, or jewelry that also has girl power kind of slogans on it. So this really inspired us to start thinking, well, okay, what is feminist technology? Can we start asking that kind of question and breaking down some of those stereotypes? So to change that stereotype of what a wearable is or what technology is and what it can do, I think we first have to start to rethink of what is the purpose of these kinds of technologies. I love this project. This is by some of the students, my students at Art Center when I was teaching out in Pasadena. So Christina Ortega and Jenny Rodenhouse had this project on useless wearables, asking, what's the future of the nail salon, incorporating some of these technologies into the nails. And I think we want to rethink what counts as technology in the first place. What are we already wearing? Is our cosmetics a wearable technology? Is perfume a wearable technology? And then what's already part of our bodies? What can we harvest in a technological way? And can the microbiome be a platform for a wearable technology? So the microbes that live on your skin that are part of our bodies and our ecosystems, is that something that we can alter through our experiences or through technology in a way that is wearable in technology? So we'd started at a wearable and then had gone to birth from petri dishes. So we decided to present 3 different scales that go from inside of the body all the way out to space and sort of challenge and manifest this concept around sensual technology. So here we consider the skin and the microbiome as a wearable technology, and the skin as a platform for technology, and how this may affect the health, beauty, the scent, and how we communicate. So after working at Philips, I became really interested in how we can reprogram the body and how that may become a technology. So I worked with a synthetic biologist and created a swallowable perfume, which is a cosmetic pill that works from the inside out. And when you sweat a biologically enhanced fragrance. And what I like is that it turns the body into the atomizer and you become the spray. And then I started to think about what if you could impregnate that with colour and you could sweat cosmetics and really disrupt the beauty market, which we both agree needs some massive disruption. So part of this project, I'm also a filmmaker, was to use the gallery as a lab and as a place to prototype these ideas. And I'm really interested in exploring the scientific what-ifs within the public realm and using stories to communicate science that we can reach the fringes of culture and then really explore the emotional impact of technology and create this platform to discuss how some of these scientific breakthroughs are slowly redesigning our body. This is another artwork that questions that point where technology meets the body. This film is called Make Your Maker, and it looks at how food and the body are inseparable. And you see this woman in her lab cloning her body to the point of photosynthesis. I'm massively inspired by the extremes of genetic engineering and to the point where synthetic biology may reach the kitchen. And so we're in the kitchen blending gender and ego like a chef may make a cake, and to the point where you make these edible clones in order to eat yourself, to enhance your senses and the way that you experience the world. And I agree, it's slightly absurd, but I think it's absurdity that needs to step in into this conversation around science and technology.
So it's not that absurd, because I did try to make photosynthetic animals in graduate school.
Okay.
And I did, as Leela mentioned, I did do this project about cheese and the intersections between cheese and the microbes in cheese and the microbes on the body. This is a collaboration with Sissel Tolas, who's a smell researcher, and we really wanted to think about the domestication of microbes, how we bring microbes into our lives already, the technologies of transformation that happen with microbes in something as traditional and everyday as cheese, and also this intersection between ourselves and our food. So we are what we eat. The bacteria that live in cheese are quite similar to the bacteria that live on skin, and the smells of skin, body odors, are pretty similar to cheese smell. You've probably smelled pretty stinky cheese that smells like feet. That's because it's the same kind of bacteria. And so this is actually so microbial portraits. So we did one with Olafur Eliasson's tears. This is Hans Ulrich Obrich's nose bacteria turned into a cheese. A lot of the work that I do with Ginkgo is bringing in works with artists, collaborations with artists like Lucy and Sissel again, but working within the context of the fragrance industry. So thinking about what would the swallowable perfume smell like, working with perfumers and collaborating to create those smells, and then working with Sissel to imagine a future of the fragrance industry where it's the microbes that live on our skin that make perfume and not chemical companies. So as we kind of zoom out slightly and start going from the microbes and the skin itself to the second skins, the body, and the kinds of technologies that we put onto the body. And we wanted to think again how we can challenge the stereotypes of the wearables, the wearable, the technology, and its purpose at the body's surface. So instead of now moving towards this idea of intimate technology, what's technology that's soft, emotional, fleshy, elastic? What helps us be more empathetic? Something that connects us rather than measures us or monitors us. So I want to show some, again, student work from students I had in a class where we did design for the microbiome at Art Center. So this project was looking at creating this modular jewelry based around microbes that could encapsulate a moment in time and an emotion. I can't remember her name, Jihan. She wanted to kind of be able to kind of embed these memories and emotions in these petri dishes. So she would whisper the story onto it, or kiss the petri dish, or if she was having an emotional moment and cry, put the tears onto the dish, and it would grow the emotions into these sort of lasting memories that she could embed in this jewelry and kind of mix and match into a modular object. This project by Xiaochen Yang, she was interested in this idea that people who live together share elements of their microbiome, that you kind of fuse together this exterior microbial cloud of yourself. And so she was wondering what happens to couples that live apart. Are they missing something that keeps them together, some form of intimacy through the microbes? And can you kind of create an object that couples living apart could exchange via the mail to bring those microbes, bring their microbes more in sync? So that's the ProBioPet concept.
This is the Future Day Spa, which was originally designed to prepare the body for space travel. I'm going to show a demo video. So it's a personalised, guided experience that offers treatments that evoke states of trust, love, and relaxation. And essentially, it replicates the feeling of being hugged. I originally did this at the London Design Festival, and then we took it to Los Angeles to the Recode conference. And we've treated over 100 clients. Some came back the next day saying it got rid of my hangover. Others said it felt like being back inside the womb. And this, again, was prototyping during the experience. And the last day in Los Angeles, one client, as he lay very vulnerably, and that was part of it, I'm really interested in creating vulnerable experiences to shift behaviour. And as he lay down in the bed, he disclosed to me that he suffered haptophobia, this fear of being touched, and that he doesn't touch any other body and nobody touched him. And he was clearly moved. He said this felt like an embrace, and he asked if he could buy one and take one home with him. So I gave him an extra long treatment, and then when he got up out of the bed, he reached out and he hugged me. So this was a very unexpected response. And it's made me speculate whether these new kinds of isolation could be developed to treat social isolation or some spectrums of autism. And I'm really interested in creating experiences that can take people beyond the expectations of themselves. So moving out in our sliding scale, I don't know if people have seen Lo and Behold, Werner Herzog's documentary. Danny Hillis is an inventor, amongst other things, and he said, we are having a revolution in what it means to be human. And this is a question that really gets me going. I get very excited about these kinds of questions, wondering what is human evolution, the future of human evolution look like, and how will different points of view shape this question?
So this question of what are the possible revolutions that will happen to the body is really interesting. Where will bodies and technologies meet in the far future? What is the future of the body on a changing planet and in extreme new environments like outer space? Will the body change through technological transformation, through redesign, new conditioning, or even editing? Within this question, again, there's lots of different scales and lots of ways that you can imagine the way that a body might be transformed through at a molecular level in the genome or the cellular processes inside of a cell. There's a lot of ways that scientists are starting to think about how we would transform ourselves at a genetic level. There's also the ways that we are born and give birth, and imagining the future of what that might look like through technological interventions.
So if we are going to live longer in environments that our bodies are not designed for, we may need to evolve in really unusual ways. And how do we begin to fathom what life will be like 100 generations from now or 500 generations from now? And maybe I'm just going to bring back this slide. I don't know if you can see, but this is a device to give birth in zero gravity. So it's this centrifugal platform that spins around and you give birth. And this is a Japanese scientist who's created this exo womb where she's bringing to birth goats. So we've looked at discussing the body and changing it through genetics. And this next project, which is being shown downstairs, is exploring how we can adapt the body through experience that goes beyond kind of genetic traits. And after the results of the Future Day Spy, I became really interested in the psychology of isolation. And so this project is called the Institute of Isolation. It's a 9.5-minute observational fictional documentary. It's a futuristic organisation that contemplates whether isolation or, more broadly speaking, extreme experience could be used to condition or optimise the body. And it explores this idea of us being able to train our bodies now for the rigours of weightlessness in the future and how that might improve life or our health on Earth. So also I'm interested in ways of conditioning our bodies now and the kind of evolution of exercise, Pilates, yoga, step Reebok. This is a microgravity trainer that we built for the Institute of Isolation. And then thinking about what would a wearable be in space beyond the astronaut suit, and is the whole ship a wearable because that's allowing us to function and to live in this vacuum of space.
So I love that. And I love working with artists. like I said before, because of this new and different vision that they can bring to the future. I think that when we do start to imagine the future and talk about how science and technology are going to impact that future, especially at a place like MIT, that vision is really monopolized by scientists and engineers themselves, by the science and technology and the aesthetic and the imagination that they bring to it. So I think that it's necessary for us to have a multiplicity of visions and a multiplicity of ways of thinking about what that future is going to look like, and not let people who have control over what it might look like imagine it too. So I think that projects like Lucy's and other intersections of art and science help us imagine a future that is more fleshy and feminine, that is more intuitive and emotional, that's grounded in storytelling and narrative, and maybe offers a little bit more messiness and more reality of what it's like to live in these kinds of futures.
Yeah, so another important thing that we're really interested in is that the development of science and technology being really transparent and accessible to everyone, which allows more diversity and gives access for artists to collaborate directly with scientists, biologists, and creating this platform to discuss what are the cultural implications of emerging technologies, and how can we reach those far-flung fringes of culture and have them feedback on this opinion. And when science and art meets, it can become more tangible and kind of physicalizes things that may be otherwise incomprehensible.
So the last point that we want to leave you guys with is thinking about where the creative process should be part of science. I think when we think about the role of art and science, often we're left thinking about communication, the sort of the final step of science technology. When it leaves the lab and is communicated to the outside world, that's the role of the artist, is to make it presentable. Where in fact, I think we see a role for science, for art, really at the very beginning of the creative process of science and the process of innovation. That creative process is a process of asking new and difficult questions that go beyond what science would be able to do, perhaps. And perhaps that's because of a kind of vulnerability and emotional intuition and a willingness to leave that subjectivity in, whereas I think scientists want to remove it from the story that we tell at the end.
So just to wrap up, we are living in this era where we're being constantly asked to reshuffle and redefine human boundaries. And this creative process is a way to present conditions of possibility. So we're ending in some more questions that maybe we can talk about. Is CRISPR a wearable technology? Do we become technology when our genes have been edited? And when the body does meet technology, does the body then become technology itself? Thanks.